Here we go. You hear it this time, Meryl? That little skip right there. It's cool. And we're back.
Gospel.
No, I don't think he's saying gospel. Did you? We need a voiceover.
Like
with
we're
Seth
just saying
playing
random
the
words now.
Yeah.
Bible.
Yeah. Jesus. Yeah, whatever. Welcome, guys. We're back with the Legacy Podcast. Yeah. Sabbath. And then it's moment of silence. And the beat hits again. You know, that'd be it.
There you go.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. Today we are talking about parenting on empty.
Ain't got no gas in the tank.
Yeah. We are a busy people with a lot going on. Mm-hmm. And we all at times feel like butter spread over too much bread.
Yes.
Name the movie.
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Who was it? Who's that?
That's Bilbo talking to Gandalf.
There he is.
Chapter 1.
Yes. It's a good one.
That's not what I was connecting.
What were you connecting it to? What were you thinking?
I don't know why I was thinking about Dr. Seuss because there's the one, the
Green
butter
Eggs and
side
Ham.
up, butter side down.
Whoa, I don't know that one.
Oh, we're gonna.
Is that
have
Green
to
Eggs
do
and
some
Ham?
education. No.
Dude, there should be a rap song that really does that one.
Dude, there is. No, there's a whole
Butter
youth group
side
game.
up, butter side
Yeah.
down.
Oh,
There's one
I'm
guy-
a walk into my pocket kind of guy.
Yeah.
But
Have you heard those?
I haven't heard
the
that.
trap.
We'll play
trap
those later.
walking in my pocket and stuff.
They're
like, yeah.
so fire.
Yeah, yeah.
I love
like
them.
that was a youth group game we used to do where it's like, hey, you just put a beat down and have a kid come up and read a Dr. Seuss book.
Yeah. There's some really solid stuff.
I never
out
did
there
that
for
one.
You know his name is pronounced Suisse, I think.
Dr. Sweet.
Yeah, don't take me.
No wonder his drawings are so weird. Hey, unpopular opinion, I don't like Dr. Zeus art.
Yeah, no,
The
it's weird.
stories are fine.
Yeah.
I just always thought the animals were kind of like disconcerting and like scary to me.
Yeah, no, is it weird that like sometimes what people think is whimsical, like others think is scary?
Oh,
Like,
totally.
freaky? Yeah, I totally agree.
What is it? You remember like Half Dog, Half Cat, or like Cat Dog?
Cat Dog.
It's the worst show ever,
Dude,
dude.
you
No.
know the show Courage the Cowardly Dog?
Yeah,
like a
that's
horror
dark,
cartoon.
dude.
I was like, oh my gosh, this has scared me. as a
It's no
kid.
wonder
Yeah.
millennials got so crazy.
Well, even like the cartoons, the next generation, like what's the one? It's there's a kid and like some of the animations. I'm like, this is weird. Like they're sharp teeth and it's supposed to be funny. Adventure Time. That's it. I
Oh
never liked
yeah, Adventure Time was. I think you were supposed to like accompany that show with other things.
Maybe so. Maybe
I'm not
so.
sure. All my
Oh, I
friends
see
who
what you're
liked
saying.
Adventure Time have.
Yeah.
God's working on their testimonies.
Yes, but that's a other substances required. To
Yeah.
enjoy. I hear what you're
I
saying.
did not watch that. I was a big fan of Reading Rainbow, though.
Reading Rainbow. I
Like-
only know Reading Rainbow from Community.
I'm just putting this out on the YouTubes right
On the
now,
YouTube,
but like,
oldest thing ever said on this podcast.
right? I love it. If I met
The
LeVar
YouTubes.
Burton in person, I think it would be like the happiest time.
Hey, let's see how far back we can go. Did y'all ever watch Lamb Chops?
Yes.
Let's go, Lamb Chops.
What's
Lamb
Lamb
Chops.
Chops?
It's a song that
Never
never
ends.
ends.
I've heard that
it goes
song.
on and on.
That's Lamb
my
Chops?
friend. People started singing and not knowing what it was.
We're gonna get copyright clips for that.
We quit though.
Oh, dude, this one's got to be outside of the copyright range.
It's gotta be
There's
too
no
old.
way.
Yeah,
They stopped playing that
we
show, don't they?
rediscovered VeggieTales, and you told me earlier today. It was really
Yeah.
funny. You were like, my parents. What? Say it again. That was
It's
funny.
like I saw something probably on Instagram, and it was like what my parents thought I was learning from VeggieTales, and it was like this clip where they're
God is
reciting like
love.
Bible knowledge, and
Yeah.
it's like what I actually learned. It's like, oh, where is my hairbrush? Or my cheeseburger, my
You are my
breakfast cheeseburger.
cheeseburger.
I went for you.
What about
Yeah.
say boo? This
Or-
is a song about a say boo.
So blue.
Yeah, that's it. That's a good one.
Oh, my goodness.
All right. Well, today we are talking about parenting on empty. It's one thing to say we're disciples, making disciples, discipling our families, discipling our kids. It's another thing to realize that our world is full of stuff and we are super duper busy all the
Yeah.
time. How do we fit discipleship stuff into our busy schedules? So, quick hit question to start us off. When you're in a rush, what's your go-to meal? You know what I'm saying? Like I got 5 minutes before you got to get out the door with the kids or just by yourself. Like what's the
So is this straight out the pantry? Like what's in the house? Or
either thing? Maybe we're gonna grab it on the way, sort of family.
Yeah.
You know,
I give my kids Oreos and milk, protein and sugar,
I'm coming to your house for
keeping them
dinner.
alive. You know?
Oreos and milk.
What's up? What's up, parents?
All right, okay, all right. I think we're
claimed to
like
be a nutritionist.
we're a frozen pizza sort of.
Which
family.
one?
Yeah.
Well, we've tried them all. The Tostitos ones that are like this
I like
big,
the squares.
like little circle ones that are like little miniature ones.
like the
that-
minis.
Yeah, you get to cut those up. Those are good. And like even the frozen pizzas, like 25 minutes. You know, get it out, cut it up. Kids love it. Can't go wrong with pizza.
That's basically Oreos and milk,
Yeah.
right?
Wow.
It's just like bread and
Technically, no.
bread and
it's
cheese.
not. But maybe, I mean, sure, if you squint, you know.
I think
Bread,
pizza has
sugar.
maybe a few more food groups.
Few more
You're like a
nutrients.
foodie though, Meryl. What's your go-to like quick meal?
Costco orange chicken
Oh,
is so good. Have you had it?
I haven't had it.
I like
It
orange
is
chicken.
so good.
Yeah?
So I pop it in the air fryer. Doesn't take that long. Then
air
I
fryer.
throw some
What is an
frozen
air fryer?
broccoli in the air fryer.
You have an air fryer.
What is an
do.
air fryer?
Fries the air?
Yep, basically.
This is super.
It's like a cook it in all thing.
is this
Yeah.
a supernatural cooking
It crisps
utensil?
everything up, but you don't have to drop it in a vat of oil. It's probably like a. They've probably just sold me that, and it's actually just like an oven.
I
But
think I read somewhere that
What's
like
the
some
difference?
MIT student was like trying to make a crock pots are good in theory, but they take 6 or 7 hours.
So it's
Yeah.
like a dryer for your food.
I think it's like a cross between a pressure cooker, a microwave, and like a convection oven or something. Convection oven,
I like
microwave,
it.
oven.
So
Toaster oven.
yeah,
Makes
Costco
that
orange chicken,
Costco
Yeah.
orange chicken.
broccoli in the air fryer, and then like those little rice bowls. You just open the rice bowl.
Yeah.
You pop the other
They're like
stuff in.
$2. Yeah, we've gotten
So
those.
good. And
You
then
win a prize for healthiest.
well, I do my best.
Sometimes
Yeah.
we have those little what do they call them? Those little protein.
Yeah.
The jerky sticks.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I'm
meat
talking about?
sticks.
Meat sticks. We
We
get those
love
from
those.
Costco.
Those are
Yes.
good. Yeah, the turkey
Yeah.
ones are not bad. Yeah.
You should try the orange chicken. It's really, really good.
I love orange chicken.
There's also these meatballs there that go in the air fryer. Like I put a lot of stuff
We're not
in
getting
the air
paid for any of this, but
This
what's your-
episode is sponsored
well,
by
okay, fast
really
food. Fast food.
Meat
Though.
fryers.
Like where do you go? Fast food. We're a Chick-fil-A family.
Chick-fil-A is good. I
Deep fried and
Chick-fil-A.
sanctified.
Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, I mean I do Chick-fil-A a lot. I'm trying to think what else do I eat?
I eat an inordinate amount of Taco Bell.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Now you have to understand.
No.
Soft tacos
I
are
like,
tacos.
yeah, I grew up on the soft tacos. Either that or McDonald's. I'm known
can't
like
do
on a
Taco
busy
Bell.
day to go to McDonald's and get like 3 double cheeseburgers
Yeah.
and like a 10-piece of chicken
I'm
McNuggets
a
and then sleep for the rest of the work.
I'm a McDonald's for breakfast, like quick breakfast McDonald's. Whoever the man or woman, whoever that came up with the McGriddle
Griddle. Yeah.
deserves like a special
It is
treasure in
good.
heaven.
I'm an Egg McMuffin fan
Oh,
myself.
Egg McMuffins are good, but McGriddles are next level. Like,
yeah, you gotta
if our works
upgrade to
could
the
save
next
us,
gen.
that kind of work would be the saving kind.
That
Like,
was a
those are,
contribution
yes,
to humanity.
that is much needed.
Bro,
So,
I was at a youth conference in Washington D.C. 8th grade when they dropped the McGriddle.
whoa, you
Wow.
remember where you were?
I remember where I
That's
was
epic
the
that you
first
know
time
where
I
you were.
saw it
Yes.
on the menu.
Dude, McGriddles are awesome.
I ate so many McGriddles.
I can't go to McDonald's and not get it. Like if I'm getting breakfast at McDonald's, I'm getting 2 McGriddles because the first McGriddle
Yeah.
just makes you wish you had more McGriddle.
Just one more.
But Taco Bell, really?
But I have to go back to that.
Yeah.
How do you not like did you go to college?
With Taco Bell?
Like, how
do
did
you
you
not like Taco Bell?
Yeah. If you went to college, you have
Here's
to
my
like
theory
Taco Bell.
on Taco Bell. All right, that Taco Bell is basically just an allergy that we all have, and you know how allergies work. Like you get so much in your system to where you start
so
reacting.
confused where this is going.
Like I have
but my kids
ingested
like it.
so much Taco Bell in my life that now
Yeah.
my body reacts to Taco Bell and says, "No, we're not doing that anymore."
Okay,
We're done."
so basically it was so good
Yeah.
early on.
It's a
when I was in
Now
college,
you
I
have
went
an
to a small
aversion to
school.
it.
I went to a small school where there was only 2 restaurants open past 11 o'clock. It was Taco Bell
I feel
and it
that.
was Waffle House.
Yeah.
And so I ate Taco Bell nearly every night in college, and I had every menu item. I had Coke or Mountain Dew Code Red like a billion times. Like
Oh, boy.
I had all
Baja
of the
Blast.
things. I had all of the things, and now I eat some of the I eat a piece of like a Taco Bell meal, and I immediately have gastrointestinal issues.
Thank you for sharing that.
So
Saying is,
essentially
like my
you're saying-
body is rejecting it. It
So
can
you're-
contain
the
no
long-term
more.
effects
Yes.
of like long-term exposure to
If
Taco
you're
Bell have
still
taken
eating
place
Taco
in your life.
Bell, it's coming for you. You just haven't gotten there yet. That's my theory.
Okay, I will say in that vein, because I do still like Taco Bell. Like
like
there's days when I'm like, I need a soft taco with mild sauce right now.
Nope. Makes me queasy just thinking about it.
But I went through a patch like that with Chick-fil-A because we didn't have a Chick-fil-A in my town
Were
growing
you
up.
doubting your faith in that moment?
No. We didn't have a Chick-fil-A in my town growing up. The Chick-fil-A, the
Sounds
only
like
one,
spiritual warfare.
was at the mall.
Yeah.
So
University
unless
Mall
you were
in
shopping
Little
at the mall,
Yeah.
you didn't get Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
So then they opened one on campus,
Yeah.
and it was covered in my meal plan.
What?
So every day I would go get chicken minis or whatever. And there was a good amount of time after I graduated, probably 2 years, that I was like, I don't think I can eat Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, I remember.
I can now.
I remember going to the mall in Little Rock, Arkansas, because we're from Arkansas, getting Chick-fil-A, and as a kid, you got the nuggets or you got the strips, and thinking that's what Chick-fil-A is. And I'm not gonna lie, Chick-fil-A is great, but if all they had is the nuggets and the strips, like, yeah, it's kind of mid. I remember in college, similar situation, getting the Chick-fil-A spicy Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich with extra pickles for the first time and never looked back. Amazing.
Dude, speaking of Chick-fil-A, did you guys try the limited time? I think it's off the menu now. The palmetto cheese.
Oh yeah,
palmetto
that
cheese one. Did you try?
That's
it?
all right. It's good.
It's all right.
Yeah,
worth
the new one,
trying.
the spicy bacon, whatever they have now,
I haven't tried that one.
better.
So
Better than the palmetto cheese one.
there was some trip that I went on. It was a mission trip with the youth group back in my hometown. And we were driving through the night and we stopped somewhere in Missouri and they were testing sweet potato tots and sweet potato fries at Chick-fil-A. And then I never saw them ever come out. And I'm still disappointed. And this has probably been like
This is trauma
15
dumping.
years ago.
Yeah, my wife,
Like, I'm
my wife
still
would be disappointed
waiting.
with that too.
Yeah.
Still waiting on them to like make my dreams come true. So you hear me, Chick-fil-A?
There you go. Waffle fries, curly fries.
Next
McDonald's
week,
fries.
LeVar Burton is going to show up here with the sweet potato fries from Chick-fil-A, and I'm going to be so
We're gonna
excited.
blow our budget on making that dream come true.
Secret menu item at Chick-fil-A.
There we go.
Sweet potato.
Wait, we're going way too long.
We
here.
are. We gotta
But
talk about
I hate
discipleship and
secret
stuff.
menus, by the way. Like, if you got a secret menu, like, what are we doing? Why do you have a secret menu? Just have a menu. It's whatever. Anyway,
FOMO?
yeah, I guess so. Maybe so. Maybe so. I want trauma dumping.
I want to know. What's
I want to
next.
know. What
I
want to
know.
I don't need an expert. I just want anybody. Okay, whatever. Today's episode is for the overwhelmed parent who has eaten at Chick-fil-A way too much.
Well, and
Because
if you've
Or
got
has
children like us
gastrointestinal
who all have
problems.
these different opinions, you
Yes,
are overwhelmed
you are
because we all want to
overwhelmed.
eat something different.
We live in a fast-paced world that expects immediate results and full buy-in to any. If you're going to commit to anything in our areas, particularly in Cypress, Texas, if you're going to commit to anything, you're all in to that thing. If you've got kids, elementary age or up. So, how do we find time to build discipleship habits in that? How do we minister to our families in that degree? What are some stories that you guys have heard? You lived here the most, Seth, in this area the most. What's it like? Like, what are some of the stories from parents living in these trenches, in these streets?
It's a commuter city.
Yeah,
Right. So
yeah.
there's a lot of car time.
Right.
There's a lot of time on the bus going downtown. And so a lot of the guys that I've talked to who I think are managing their schedules well, just take those commuter moments to that's where they're self-investing. So they're listening to audiobooks, they're listening to podcasts.
Oh, you're talking about the guys that work
Bible.
downtown and they take a bus downtown. Yeah, that's there.
Yeah, those guys. Or if I think like the average commute in Houston's like 20 plus minutes.
Really?
It's
Wow.
like very few people live next to their work in Houston.
Well, I feel like it's either that or they're working from home. And then there's this you got to have to be very intentional in your schedule at home that you're bifurcating work time and personal time.
But if you think about that cost analysis, like if I get a job and it's going to take me 20 to 40 minutes, maybe an hour one way, that's 2 hours a day, it's 14 hours a week, that's X amount of hours a month, and then a year. Like there's all this time that you just don't get.
Yeah.
And so, and that's before you get to the kids' schedules.
Yeah.
And things like that. This is
Sports.
this is the bare line minimum is I have to go work for a period of time and I'm not going to be able to interact
Right.
really in the in-between time.
Yeah.
So Elon Musk, can you get that self-driving car cranked out a little bit faster?
I've seen it seems to me like there's seasons of life where parents that I know and friends of mine and students in our ministry, their families, where they just seem to disappear because of that busy schedule, that busy season of life, especially parents. It seems to me to be the hardest for parents of multiple kids with multiple and like a varied age group. The kids who are on the varsity team here, and then they're also involved with completely different side of thing. The other kid is in choir while this kid is in football or something like that. They're just the coaches or the leaders of these sports. because there's so many kids and there's so many like people available, they can really set a schedule it's such a big animal. It's a blessing and a curse. You know, kids that excel in things here are excelling in like the upper levels of whatever it is they're into, but there's so much like focus on this one thing on excellence here that it just really splits the family and having to go from one to the other. It's tough, man. I've seen moms and dads who are just exhausted, and then church can sometimes feel like the one thing that we don't have to be at. And I get it sometimes. It's like God wants us to be together as the family of God, but he also wants us to rest. And it's hard to be a part of this society and find rest. How do you do that? You know, like I don't know.
Well, and I think
I'm dreading it at my own life. Yeah.
Like, I feel like a time that we've typically counted on in talking about things is also meal times.
Yeah.
But when you've got so many different activities, like a lot of times you are grabbing a meal on the road and you're not even in the same car because somebody else has a different practice after or something. You know, like sometimes families aren't even getting meal times together. And it's hard. We were talking earlier just about like I have a hard time, I think we said in our last episode, learning to say no to things.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a really hard time with that. And again, it's just me. I'm not married. I don't have any kids. And I'm like, how do people do it? Because there's a part of me that feels guilty when I say no to certain things.
Yeah.
And I think it's got to be the same for parents. I mean, because if you look at it, like you can't always say no to your job.
No.
You got to keep your job. Yeah. Then when you've got like your kids are invested in different things, how do you say no to that? Like, hey, no, you can't do that sport this year or whatever. There's like this level of, yes, we absolutely need to prioritize our time, but there's also this guilt that comes with it. The times when I've said no, like, you know what? No, I'm actually not going to go to that thing this time.
Yeah.
I sit there at home and I'm like, maybe I'm just lazy. You know what I mean? Like it's hard.
That's what culture
We're
says.
used to being so busy that taking time away from something often feels like I'm letting someone down. I'm being lazy. I'm not using my time wisely.
I think our culture is like is it hot and cold cultures? Is that the term that they use for like people who are, like our culture is very hot in the sense of we are time sensitive. We are very like I'm not sure if I'm using the terms correctly, but a cold culture is more like
that's the efficiency.
The cold is that.
Yeah.
Okay,
like
warm. Yeah, okay.
Efficiency, and then warm is like value relationship more than efficiency.
So in some countries, like, hey, we're going to, come build this thing over here. And people just show up when they can. And that's completely acceptable. In our society, we're going to set a time. We're going to be at that time. And if you're not at the time, there's social pressure on
you.
There's
a loyalty test involved in
and so
your attendance.
You feel this internal pressure to be efficient and to be successful and to be involved in all these things. And that's a lot to put on. And then you as a parent, I'm not only feeling that, my kids are feeling that as well, and trying to teach them how to say no and yes to things. It's tough. It is hard to, like, the enemy is been very quick to divide and conquer and divide our time and divide our allegiances, right? Like, it's tough.
In thinking about it, like with church, we say like a lot of times that's the thing that people are like, I just can't make it to that today. But it's also the thing that's going to be the most gracious and not say like, hey, don't come back tomorrow if you don't make it, because there are like with your job, or if my kid doesn't make it if they miss 2 practices, they're off the team or whatever. Yeah. So I can see how it's hard to make it a priority when everything else is saying like 2 strikes, you're out. And the church isn't going to say that.
We're the only place people are going every week that is not taking attendance. We may be like counting bodies and seats, but we're not like looking and like, the Johnsons weren't here today. Yeah. 2 strikes, they're off the roll. They can't, they can't give tithes anymore. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I'm not saying we should.
Well, if we notice you're not here, you're more likely to get a call to be like, hey, are you okay? We love you. We want to check in on you. We're trying to make sure everything's all right. No, I think it's good to let ourselves off the hook a little bit because as ministry leaders, we all have external ministry programs. And this is like the worst plug for our ministry stuff ever. But like, if you don't come to men's ministry, but you brought your family faithfully to Sunday morning, you're killing it. You're doing a good job.
That's good.
Like, I'm here to serve you,
supplements,
and to provide a help for you. These are tools that you can gain. But if you got to be a dad and a husband don't come to my event.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there are faithful things you may need to do
Yeah.
in place of program ministry. So know what the Bible says you're required to do. And, so Hebrews 10:25 says, don't neglect the gathering as some are apt to do.
Right.
For the early church, there was the Lord's Day.
Yeah.
And so one day out of the week is set aside for corporate worship where I gather and I'm encouraged by the body and we look forward to the second coming of Christ. Everything after that is a personal decision between me and the Lord so that I can amplify my obedience to the Lord.
Right.
And so insofar as these things are helpful, use them, embrace them, serve in them. There's lots of good reasons to go.
Yeah.
But if you miss like a men's night,
That's okay.
It's now look, if you're down at like the local pub, like throwing back Jaeger bombs, like, nah, dog, come to men's ministry. Like,
that's right.
Or go home and be a dad. Like
Well,
it's a
cost benefit thing. Like if you're involved in something negative, like obviously change that for something positive. Be involved in one of these extra ministry things. But I think like our culture has this myth of like, what does it mean to be, the excelling high school student? Well, you're on a varsity team, you're involved in extracurriculars, you're doing all these things. In the same way, we've adopted this myth of like the perfect disciple who's at every Bible study and leading a Bible study and hosting a life group and teaching on Sunday, doing all these things, when like for some people, especially with families and young kids, that's just not practical. That's not like, you've got to find discipleship in other moments and other ways.
Well, and sometimes, like I know some families who have said, hey, we didn't make it on Wednesday night, where they would have been split into multiple ministries because it was going to be the one night we got to be together as a family, which I'm like, man, that's awesome. Like spend time together as a family unit. If you're not getting that in other places, then that can be equally, if not more beneficial for a family to be able to do that.
I had a volunteer who had 2 kids in the one junior high, one high school, very involved, very successful in what they were involved in. And she just told me, she said, I'm not going to be able to make it to Sunday morning youth ministry volunteer meetings because Sunday morning is the one time when we can all sit down at a meal and share it together. And so and I was like, amen, do it. Like that's absolutely okay. Yeah. I think like all of us feel this internal pressure to have like this Pinterest word, like a social media view of how are you discipling your kids? Well, we're doing this, and that. And that's really not how it works. A lot of times it happens ad hoc or in the car and just sort of last minute on the way to something or on the way home from things. And if that's your season of life, that's okay. It's not what are you involved in, but how are you taking advantage of whatever you're involved in?
Like discipleship, it's good to have a plan, but understand that you serve a God of grace and mercy. And so obviously, if I don't plan for the things that are coming up this week, I'm going to live in a place of chaos, and so you don't want to enable that in yourself, but understand that when chaos comes, you serve the God who brings order. Yeah. And that order.
And he works through the small things.
Right. And so God's not getting to Sunday and saying, all right, let's see how many religious things points you did during the week so that you can have my approval. He's going to say, welcome back. Right. You're my kid. And in the same way you're longing for your kid to know me, I'm longing for you to know me. Yeah. And it's, you just can't serve from an empty cup. Like you gotta be filled up.
Well, and think about it, like relationships. Like there are times when my wife is busy and I'm busy. And so we know like if I'm in an intense, meeting or something, she knows like, hey, he's not going to call me, but I know that I can text her in little quiet moments and I can reach out and I can, send her a thought or have an idea. And we adapt our relationship to our circumstances. The same is true for our relationship with Christ. Like sometimes we connect with him through corporate worship and meeting together with other believers. And sometimes it's through just these quiet moments of prayer and of reflection or of, I love what, there's a book called, I think it's, I forget the name of it. I'll tell Josh, we can post about it, but it's Liturgy of the Ordinary, I think is the name of it. And this author talks about how, in the early church and medieval times, the church bells were meant to remind people of this hourly calling out on the Lord in prayer. And we may not have church bells. We may have screaming kids in our house all the day, but in the same way church bells remind us to call out to the Lord, our busy schedules and our screaming kids remind us that we need Jesus. And we can make anything a reminder to reflect on him and that we need him.
Well, and I think we often put this pressure, it's internal pressure of perfection on ourselves anyway.
Yeah.
And like this isn't doable as a parent or as a family without the help of Jesus. You know, like
absolutely.
we're putting a lot of times, I think, and I'm reminded of this all the time, how many times I try to do things out of my own effort or, you know, try to serve out of my own strength and it's not doable.
Yeah.
We can't do it. We're not meant to do it.
Right.
And so when we realize that and remember that, it can also allow us to, I have to like actually mentally accept grace a lot of times. I'm like, God has given it, but sometimes I'm not receiving it very well. And I have to remember like, wait, I was not meant to do this by myself.
Right.
I desperately need help. And it's just a reminder and such a beautiful feeling when you're like, oh man, I get to understand that grace. And so that's an important thing for us to remember, that not only can we not do it in our own strength and from like, we can't be from an empty cup, but it's kind of like I just had like a train of thought and I just lost it. Like an airplane with the oxygen mask, you know, they say you've got to put the mask on yourself before you can put it on someone else. And so like for a lot of parents, it may just be taking a moment, like you need to commune with the Lord. You need to pray. You need to accept and really invest in the grace that God has given you to be able to do that with your kids.
I mean, I just think about how Jesus says, come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Yeah. I have to run to Jesus. My wife always tells me she feels really convicted. She's like, I think I let the kids watch too much TV today. There's too much screen time. We didn't get the things done that we wanted to get done. But what she does faithfully is in the morning, sometimes she'll put on a little Bible show so that she can go sit on the back porch and just open her Bible and be alone with Jesus. Yeah. And it's the most faithful thing she could do. Right. You know, and someone out there is like, oh my gosh, your kids have X amount of minutes of screen time. It's like, yeah, but their mom has X amount of minutes with Jesus. Yeah. And I'll take that trade any day. Yeah.
But they also know why she's out there. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that's something they see her do faithfully, which speaks volumes in their life.
And I think like, and it's helpful. We've talked about this before on the podcast. Like, you don't have to do everything or start doing it. Just doing something helps. And there's three really easy ways for the busy family to do some simple things like this. We've mentioned them all the time: car rides, bedtimes, and meal times. Right? Yeah. What are some practical things that parents can do to either fill themselves up in preparation for a moment like that, or to just turn a conversation or turn this 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes between practices or whatever into an edifying moment, a discipling moment with your kids? What are some things you guys have done?
I mean, I honestly just think, and again, my wife is so faithful and she does such a good job kind of like organizing this. So a lot of times shout out to Michelle, because I'll work all day and I'll come home and step into the infrastructure that she set up. Yeah. And it's like, yes, that's why I married this woman. Like she's a rock star, but she has this kind of thing of like what you put into yourself, like what you're thinking about, what you're meditating on. And so every time I turn on the van, like Christian music is the first thing that hits my ears. Yeah.
Hallie does that too with our kids. Yeah.
Anytime like, the DVD player's on, it's like she's got the guy who did Veggie Tales has got like all these Bible stories. And she just constantly putting like scripture-centered, Christ-centered stuff into the noise. Yeah. So that and you can just tell like how does she combat the day? Worship and scripture, but it's not this like program thing. It's like actually I need them to watch TV while I drive, right? So that I can call a friend or so that I can actually have a moment to myself. Yeah. And yet it's not something that's just meaningless. It's something that is breathing life. And so to me, those are the first two things. Is like, what am I filling my life up with in the noise? Like what is narrating my story as I run around being busy? Yeah. Am I spending my time listening to things that lift me up? Am I setting my mind on things that are above? Right. Or man, are you more like me where you've got like AM radio on and you're raging against the world? It's just like, I can easily make my day more stressful by just filling my heart and mind with things that aren't of God. Yeah.
I found like Hallie does that same thing where like I've come home and she is taught in her car rides with the kids. They'll come home singing these songs, and I'm like, where'd you learn that? It's like, Mommy plays it she got the same playlist, the same 4 songs, and there's a new song by Phil Wickham called "What an Awesome God." Well, Raleigh, she's 2. She barely talks. And she's like mumbling the words to this song because she's always putting those words in. I found that this is where it's really helpful to have a partner or to have family, have community, where like sort of our routine is we come home around 4 or so and everybody kind of gets there. I go outside if it's a nice day, or I try to occupy the kids so Hallie can have that detox moment to come when she's coming home from work and kind of get the rest of the evening kind of sorted out. She usually starts dinner or kind of figures out what's coming next. Or sometimes she's just like, can I have a minute? And I'm like, yes. Or sometimes I'm like, I just need a minute. And she's like, got it. And it's such a clear, you can see so clearly how God intended our families to work. And if that's not your situation, there's people in your life that can be a part of that too, and because having a friend that can come over, there's been times where we've called Meryl or somebody else and like, hey, can you just give us a couple of hours so that we can go just be alone, and to recharge. Because I think what we're all hitting on is if you're trying to pour into your kids and you are empty, like the first thing to do is to fill up, Yeah.
It's cool to invite your children into the things that bring you life too.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we feel like we have to provide them with entertainment that is like age appropriate I've got this deal with Michelle where like at least one day a week, I'm going to take the kids and we're getting out of the house for a couple hours.
Yeah.
Guarantee I'm going fishing. I don't care what them kids want to do. Dad wants to go fish.
Yeah.
I'm going to take you fish. And so when we go fishing, I'm saying, look, I'm going to share my interest with you.
Yeah.
I heard one pastor, this guy, Ben Stewart, he used to say that he took a truck dog mentality with his kids.
Yeah.
Which is like you throw the kids in the truck and you go wherever dad goes.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those like, and he said it creates all these natural, organic moments to have conversations with the kids.
Right.
But really it was like, I love you enough to have you around me.
Yeah.
And I've got lots of stuff to do today, but you're coming with me and we're getting you out of the house so the mom can catch a breather.
Yeah.
And he's like, just throw the kids in the truck, take them wherever you go.
And kids love that. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'll do that where I'll pick up one of the kids and take them out of school and just go have a day with them. And the minute the other 2 hear about it, they're like, when's my day?
Yeah.
I want a day with dad, because they enjoy that. They just whatever we're doing.
Fun sidebar. When I was a youth pastor, I attempted to do this as a form of discipleship.
Yeah.
And I took a kid to the bank with me, to the store with me.
He was not as interested, was he?
And he told all his friends, that was the weirdest day of my entire life. The youth pastor, I was like, I tried, just bringing a kid into my life. And he's like, what are we doing at the bank? I'm like, I got to deposit a check. And he's like, take me home. I'm calling my dad.
Really funny.
I'm like, I'm sorry, Aaron.
That's really funny. Well, and so we might have listeners out there that aren't parents, which that would be me.
Moi.
Can speak to that. But in my own routine,
I was about to make such a stereotypical like married person with kids joke, and I apologize for having even thought it.
it's okay.
Since self-censorship.
Well,
Self-censorship.
it made me think of what you just said. I'm like, man, I wonder how many people have told someone hanging out with me was the weirdest day of their life, because I have definitely taken people to do different things.
Yeah.
Like one of my friends, we hang out at the laundromat. Sarah and I have gone to the laundromat multiple times. I'm like, I'll pick up the coffee. We hang out for an hour, and while the laundry's going, we chit chat about life and the Bible.
First of all, I think that's a guy-girl thing. Like, I think girls like naturally like let's
Any
do life
guy
together.
asked me to hang out at the laundromat.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fight that
Guy,
guy.
you said it this way, and I don't know where you got it, or if it's a good thing. Girls like disciple face to face.
Yeah.
Boys shoulder to shoulder.
That's right.
Yeah, that's you're off the hook. Yeah, you're fine.
But I'll
go to Lowe's and Home Depot with another guy.
Yeah, we'll go work.
Yeah,
we'll
that
go
makes
build
sense.
something together.
Let's go build something.
Yeah.
I'll go to a gun store with you.
If that involves a bank trip, that's okay. But if we're just going to the bank because you got to make a deposit, like what's up, dude?
That's hilarious. So there
You're
are
gonna say
ways,
something. Yeah.
there are ways, if you are not a parent discipling children, there are ways to invite other people into the things that you're doing. And as a parent, when you invite people into your family and disciple them as a whole family, like the times when I get to hang out with families here, I love that.
Yeah.
And I love to be a person of like spiritual input to y'all's kids, but it also is a blessing to me too, because I'm like, ooh, I get to hang out with people. Like, this is fun.
This is a plug for life groups. Like in our life group, and I know there's a couple others where our kids are a part of it. They're not necessarily a part of the discussion, but they're in the room. They're in the house. And we've been doing it that way for almost 2 years, a year and a half, I don't know, for a while now. And our kids love life group now. They want to be there. And there's coming to be a season when like my middle son Porter is still, he's just excited because he's got friends coming over and they play. But Kaylee's starting to get to where she could like sit and listen. And I know your boys sometimes sit and listen in y'all's group, right? Like you, like involving them in that process is such a huge helpful thing because it's communicating on so many levels, both intentionally of like they're hearing the Bible, they're hearing people that they look up to talk passionately about the Bible, and they're seeing mom and dad say, this is a priority. Not only are we going to be there, or in some cases, we're going to have it at our house and make sure it's happening. So life groups, this is a great way. Like if you're involved in a life group, that's an easy discipleship thing where it's not even all on you. Right. You're relying on the village around you to help reinforce the ideas you're communicating. It's a great tool. I mean I think I love having loud noises and interruptions at live. I can't tell you how many times we'll be praying and then some yelling happens in the other room and we just kind of all chuckle and laugh and move on. You know?
Yeah. Well, and I think like we've talked about some different times and pockets of time and we can do things, but really the key importance here is being consistent.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know,
whatever
like,
you do it consistently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's going to be times when we miss, right?
Right.
Your alarm doesn't go off or you're running late or whatever. And that's not like if it's not the same time every day or if you miss a day, that doesn't mean you're not being consistent. But when you're consistently putting that effort out, that this is going to be a part of what we're doing during this day.
Right.
And you come back to it. If you feel like you failed, you keep coming back to it. If you miss a day, you keep going back to it.
Schedule it. Like if you're the type A personality that every minute of your day is planned, schedule discipleship times. If you're the kind of fly by the seat of your pants sort of what's the word? Ad lib?
Spontaneous?
Yeah, or improv sort of lifestyle. Then just be looking for those ways in your life and say yes to them. Yes, and like
I'm always, and for me, I just look at what things do I have to do every day. They're going to happen every single day. I'm going to wake up. I'm going to go to sleep.
You're going to brush your teeth.
Those are the bare minimums sometimes. Most of the
John
time.
Luck. Sorry.
Time. My wife's going to comment in the comment section about my
bad breath.
About my bad breath.
Halitosis.
No, but like my kids are going to go to sleep.
Yeah.
There's a bedtime.
There's a bedtime. There's a dinner time. They got to eat.
Start with the things that are already engineered into your schedule. You don't have to go create some new thing.
Yeah.
There's already a rhythm there, and you start there.
Well, and like you're the book that you shared at Legacy Weekend about the Catechism. Like there's prayers, there's phrases, simple things that you can just incorporate into whatever your bedtime routine is. Like we have a prayer. We say, God our Father, God. It's the prayer that they sing at MDO. We ask our kids what are they thankful for, and we sing a little song. It's really easy for us to incorporate scriptural, like biblical, foundational ideas at that level. That then as they grow older, we'll expound on and build on and stuff. Whatever you're doing, start small.
And this one's for free. If you're not doing family worship, here's what you can do tonight. As soon as you get done with this podcast, you can prepare to do this later this evening. Go sit at the end of your kid's bed, open your Bible, go to Matthew chapter 2 or Matthew chapter 1 or John chapter 1. Just pick a book of the Bible, read a paragraph, and then put your hand on your kid and pray for your kid.
Yeah. Wow.
That's it.
Yeah.
You do that every single night, you're going to instill a biblical worldview into your kid. Yeah. And it's not about them. That discipleship moment is you choosing to bless your kid with the presence of God.
Yeah.
And it's as simple as, I'm here at the foot of your bed. I'm going to read you something from God. I'm going to pray over your life. And then I'm going to tuck you in. And
Psalm
you're
103 is a good one too.
Yeah. Pick a psalm.
Yeah.
Jump in.
Genesis. Yeah.
But you shouldn't prepare. If you had to do anything else but go find the Bible, you've overthought this exercise. Yeah. Like you just simply grab a Bible,
really
read it, pray over your kid.
Yeah.
And I try to go to each of my children each night and just put my hand on them and just bless them. So Lord, I bless my son. Thank you for his life. Use him in powerful ways.
Yeah.
And I give him a kiss on the head. I say, don't get out of bed.
And then he does. Yeah, I do too. I think what we're trying to say is like this isn't adding a whole nother job description. Like you can't pour from an empty cup. Just be filled, and then whatever the Lord has given to you, give to others.
And I want to add this too, because sometimes I think we talk about busyness as if it's a necessary evil. Sometimes busyness is God ordained.
Yeah.
If you look at Jesus's ministry, it says so many times that he was weary, that he'd get to the end of the day and just be exhausted. And it says that he would draw away to a quiet place where he would spend time in prayer. Yeah. And that to me is the spiritual discipline that you have to latch onto if you're going to survive the chaos of parenting and the busyness of life. Is there are going to be seasons where it is faithful to be busy, but the only way you're going to get filled up is if you go and sit at the feet of Jesus.
And we need to be really clear too. Like being super involved in stuff in our community is not a bad thing. Like
these are not negative things right away.
These can be burdens and obstacles to faithful discipleship if you're not taking discipleship like if they're not on the equal level of intentionality and commitment. And I think like what I've begun to pray in our student ministry, and all the students listening will know this, we pray all the time, not just for ourselves or not just for my kids, but for those who will believe because of them. Mm-hmm. And those are going to be kids on their ball team, kids in their choir, kids that they, are going on some school trip with. Those kids need to know Jesus. And our motto as a church is disciples making disciples. And so if we're praying over them at night, if we're having intentional conversations at dinner and at breakfast, and if we're, taking the opportunity to pray for our friends as we're heading to ball practice to drop our kids off, then our kids are going to start seeing their friends through the lens of the gospel, and eventually start gaining the confidence to share the gospel. And the best way to grow your faith is to share it, is to reproduce it. And like I remember, well, I'll save the tangent, but like that's when your kids start praying for their friends, then all of this that we're talking about becomes so much easier because they're seeking it out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like then they're making time in themselves, and it's really cool.
Yeah, I was getting ready for a jiu-jitsu competition, and I was talking to my coach one time, and he had this deal because I was asking him like, "Hey, what should I eat to get ready for this competition?" And he said something I thought was like a great metaphor for spirituality. He said, "Seth,
next podcast we should have a jiu-jitsu contest."
Oh, heck yeah!
That's just the two of you. I'll be out of town.
That'd be great. That'd be awesome. He said, if you treat your body like a Corvette, it'll run like one.
Yeah.
He's like, so a Corvette takes high octane fuel. If you put good fuel in, you're going to get good results out. He's like, if you treat your body like a Corolla, it'll run like a Corolla and it'll wear out, And so he basically was saying, eat good stuff, man. If you want to perform at a high level, eat good stuff. If you don't want to perform at a high level, don't eat good stuff.
Yeah.
But the reality is treat your body like a Corvette and it'll act like one.
Yeah. And let's go back to that Taco Bell conversation now. Just insert that here.
Exactly. I probably was eating Taco Bell while he was talking to me. I was like, oh, really? A Corvette, huh?
Chalupa.
I'm like a real used Corolla. But I think about that. If prayer and scripture and Christian community are the things that God prescribes for our nourishment.
Yeah.
If I treat my heart like a Corvette and I put that high octane fuel in it, it's going to have a greater degree of performance and steadfastness and peace and joy and love. And so it really comes down to, it's not about how much I do, it's about what am I putting in the tank.
Dude, that's such a good word. Like, and one of the things that we want to make sure we say is sharing some practical resources for parents. I think parents of young kids, like we want to have those holy moments. Where can we find some of those things? And one of the things, if we're saying it's not just what you're pouring out, but what you're filled up with yourself, a big thing that Hallie and I started doing was we traded when the kids go to bed and we have a couple hours to ourselves. We get the house clean and do all that stuff. Instead of watching another Netflix drama that's meant to, another NCIS or Criminal Minds that sometimes makes me afraid to go to bed, right? But we started. There's so many more things these days that are biblically based that have just come up in the last couple of years, like The Chosen. Whether you love The Chosen, hate The Chosen, you can't deny that it helps you reflect on the life and ministry of Jesus in a way that's unique. We've started, that's become appointment viewing for us, where we want to sit there and see these stories. There's a new series on Amazon Prime about David. There's children's series, VeggieTales. There's an app called Minnow, I think. I don't know. Have you heard about this? Yeah, we got this, and all the VeggieTales shows are on it. Even Josh and the Big Big Wall, which for a long time is the best one in my opinion.
Keep walking,
and you will knock down our wall, right? With a French accent.
And also, our church has Right Now Media, which has a ton of stuff on it.
And for kids and for students, for all ages, there's tons of stuff. And it's as simple as being intentional. If I'm exhausted and I'm tired, but I'm still having time to spend 3-4 hours on Netflix, 3 or 4 hours on whatever show. Well, it's as easy as replacing that with something that's going to fill me up. That's going to bring me back to God's word, whether that's music or the shows we're watching or the things we're scrolling through on YouTube, like the channels we follow. Like being intentional about that will help us be full, so that when those moments come, we have things to pour into our kids. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. What are some of those resources that we like right now? Media. What else? Anything else?
Media is good.
Yeah. What's the catechism book that you always? I just know it as the catechism book.
New City Catechism.
Yes.
It was by Tim Keller's wife, Kathy Keller, I think was the one who put it together. But
cool.
Tim and Kathy Keller, and that's really good. It's 52 questions and answers.
Awesome.
So
52 weeks a year.
Yeah, you just do one a week, and it's a ton of fun too. You get to quiz yourself. But that's a good one. Family Worship by Don Whitney is a really, really helpful book, especially, again, if you're prepping, you're overthinking.
Yeah.
Like God already prepped it for you, and then he bound it up.
Yeah.
There's 66 books that he's already written on your behalf. All you got to do is open them, read
it
them.
cook. Yeah.
Let God cook. But Don S. Whitney's Family Worship's a really good one. And then there's just really good, probably like practical books about like time management.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like I don't claim to be an expert at doing life.
Yeah.
Like it's, I tell my wife all the time, I really wish I had a life coach who would follow me around and just yell at me when I'm doing the wrong things. Sometimes sometimes Josh will remind me of deadlines and things like that, but it's some people are much better at managing their time.
Yeah.
And so the reality is I have to be humble enough to admit when I have not cultivated a skill to an effective level. And so if I'm just burnt out because I'm super busy, I might just need to sit down with a pastor or sit down with a mentor and say, can you help me see some blind spots or just kind of walk me through? Are there things that I'm doing and maybe have a good why, like answer why if you can tell me why you're doing what you're doing, you're probably doing something that's worth doing. Yeah. But, especially with sports, like when I think about my kids, I could have Tucker enrolled in 6 different sports right now. And he's highly athletic. He's a smart kid. He'd be excelling at all of them. Yeah. And so the question is, why? Right. Why should you excel at 6 sports? Yeah. Why not excel at one sport? Why excel at sports at all? Do I even have a why for why? Is it because I played sports? Yeah. Is it why do I do what I do? And I think once you have a why, you can put your heart behind it. Right. But if you're just chasing his friends and saying, well, all his friends are doing it and all his friends are doing it and all his friends are doing it, it's like you're just going to find yourself, chasing. Chasing. And we don't want to be chasing. We want to be leading. Yeah. I always think of it like you say, like what's the why? I always think of it, what's the win? Like how does what I'm doing now accomplish the goal? What does this produce in the future? I love there's the book Practicing the Way, John Mark Comer wrote. A lot of guys have been reading it. It's been going through the cycles of different people and stuff. And he mentions in that book, like apprenticing to Jesus is what it means to be a disciple. And if that is the goal, if I want to not just know what the master knows, but do what the master does, how does everything I do achieve that? And sports plays a role in that. Like there's great lessons I learned playing football and playing soccer and all these things. But if it means I can learn that lesson on a team that doesn't take me out of my community, 30 weeks out of the year, 30 weekends out of the year, then that defines our win, right? That defines our why. Like I can get those lessons and stay home, and you know what I'm saying? Like there's all kinds of intentional thinking behind that. Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. Meryl, what do you got? What are some final resources, thoughts? You do those questions every Sunday. Yeah. Those have been a great one that we've used. If you don't know, if your kid comes to children's ministry, they get some talkback questions after Sunday school and after Kids Zone Worship as well. Kids Zone Worship, yeah. And that's one thing we've tried to do with our 1st through 3rd graders in Kids Zone Worship is, where appropriate, we are learning the same things as the parents are in worship, because sometimes we do disconnect those so much that there's not a lot of time or space to talk about it. But if we can set families up for a conversation, then that's a win in our book. I was actually thinking while y'all were talking, at my former church, one thing that they would do for staff members is you could take what was called a spiritual renewal day. Oh, cool. And
but people wouldn't take them because it's like you could never just like schedule a day that you were unplugged, you know?
Yeah.
And on the times whenever I took those, I remember thinking like, well, what are all the things I'm going to do today?
Yeah.
And then I realized like, wait, actually, I don't think I need to make a plan.
Yeah.
I think I just need to sit
Yeah.
and be quiet and
Yeah.
receive, which was so hard
Right.
to do. But in those moments, even just being able to be quiet and to pray and to read set me up so much more to do the things that I had ahead,
Yeah.
you know, because I was just able to be like filled up with rest and joy. And,
Dude.
and that may be an encouragement to parents
Yeah.
of like, sometimes we have to come up for air. Sometimes
Yeah.
we have to hit the
Breathe.
pause button. And that may be doing that individually. That may be doing that as a family, saying, hey, this weekend, we're not going to schedule anything. We're
Yeah.
going to take the day. We're going to
Yes.
hang out as a family. We're going to eat meals together.
Right.
We're going to play a game together, or we're going to
Go on a short
walk
trip
or do
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And I think being intentional about that,
Yeah.
it's like if you think about in the middle of, you know, a football game,
Right.
when they take a short time out because they've got to talk about what's about to happen.
'Cause it's important,
And
yeah.
it prepares them for that.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we just need to schedule a timeout.
Yeah.
And whether that's personally so that we can disciple our kids, or whether that's collectively
that our
because
kids
we've
can
been
rest.
running in different
Yeah.
directions. I think that could be a really positive thing
For
for
sure.
us to do. And like we said, sometimes that has to happen within the context of community. Like
Yeah.
you might need somebody to watch your kid for a little bit, or
Yeah.
you might need different things, but
Just because it's rest doesn't mean it doesn't require planning. Like
Right.
you might need to like move things around, get things accounted for so that you can rest. My wife is really good about like noting, hey, we've had 3 busy weekends in a row. We need a weekend now where we're just all at home, nothing going, where we can just spend the whole day
That's
as a
right.
family at the house. I think there's also big things coming up for us as a church that are easy wins. Camp Kid Zone
Yeah.
is right around the corner. Youth camp this summer, we're doing a bunch of fun stuff around the neighborhood here, Fairfield centric, and youth camp. These are easy ways for us to, as a community of believers, disciple kids and pour into the next generation and equip families. I mean, think about like all these kids are going to come here for Camp Kid Zone. They're going to hear the gospel. And there's so many conversations. Like they're going to spend all day here learning about God's love for them. The ride home is a prime time to unpack some of that and to take that home with you. You know, like there's cool stuff happening all the time.
yeah. And for people who are new to us or have been here for a while and have never plugged into a life group, it's a great reminder, like you said before, to investigate that. How
Yeah.
can you start doing life as a community? Because if you're bearing one another's burdens, they automatically feel
Right.
a lot lighter.
Yeah, well, and I guarantee you, if you are a parent of kids and you're struggling and you're trying to figure out how do I take all this stuff that we're saying, how do you take it home? You're not alone, and there's parents like I'm one of them, and we're all in this together, and we'd love to walk this road together.
Yeah.
And that's a great plug for the podcast. If you got questions, if you're like, hey, you keep saying this, but what about this? We want to know
Yeah.
those things. We got blind spots. We got things that we're not thinking of, and
Yeah.
maybe there's a big issue in your heart. Share with us.
No, we know that every single person has like their own personal story and their own personal situation. And so if you do have like specific questions or things that are specific to your
Or
family,
something
like,
you want us to pray for.
something you want us to pray for, like feel free to go to fairfieldbaptist.com/contact and you can submit a prayer request. You can reach out to a pastor and we'll be able to contact you and we can help counsel you and coach you and help you just meditate and think through
Yeah.
some of these things.
Fairfield.com/legacy.
/legacy.
Sorry.
Yeah, fairfieldbaptist.com/legacy.
Yeah, for any prayer or any questions like that. Yeah, that's a great word. Don't believe the lie that, oh, they're too busy or my problem's not big enough. Like if you need help, like
Yeah,
that's what we're here
it's
for.
our
Yeah.
joy. We
Yeah.
absolutely love it.
Or
Yeah.
they don't get it. We'll probably get it.
We'll probably get
They
it.
could
Or
be-
we'll know
Yeah.
somebody that does.
Yeah.
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 So the challenge today, try one thing, one small step that you can take towards discipling your family. If you're the busy mom, the busy dad that's overwhelmed, work it into your system, work it into what you're already doing. Make that turn in your own time to invest in yourself spiritually, whether it's worship music or what you're watching or what you're listening to. Like eat healthy foods, like be the Ferrari, right? Not the chalupa, whatever it is.
Well, and the other thing is like to also take a deep breath
Yes.
and give yourself some grace, because God is full of it, and
Yeah.
we often have a hard time receiving it. But like God can use what we give him, even if it's a meager offering.
That's
and
epic.
so
That's epic.
we
Go
definitely-
throw on VeggieTales. Go throw on a movie for the kids.
Yeah.
And go hide in your closet and talk to Jesus.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Scream into a pillow.
Yeah.
And say, Jesus, help.
If all you can give him is screams, he can use it.
That's right.
That's great. That's cool. Well, that's it for us today. Join us next time for another great podcast. And
Oh, here we go.
yeah, there we go. Praying that you guys can
Signing
go
off.
make disciples. Yeah. That's it.
Gospel.
Y'all are
Take a
going to go
nap.
get Taco
Bible
Bell.
study.
And I'm not. Y'all need to repent of that, for real. Like, that's gross.
Practical theology.
Shut